The time now is 6:16. We have a quorum and the meeting has been duly posted. Good evening and welcome to the call board meeting, a meeting of the Dallas Independent School District Board of Trustees. Please stand and join us for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and a salute to the Texas flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Trustees present, starting on your left and my right, are Trustee Joyce Foreman, Trustee Dan Mitchkay, Trustee Elizabeth Jones, Trustee Lou Blackburn, Trustee Nancy Bingham, Trustee Bernadette Nuttall, Trustee Eric Cowan, and Trustee Mike Morath. Our Superintendent of Schools, Mike Miles, joins us, and I'm Miguel Solis, our Board President. Do we have a translator in the room? Okay. It's now time for the Board to retire to closed session. We will conduct our closed session in this room.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. President, this is an issue that starts at the top of the organization with the superintendent. I'm sure that the superintendent wants to take full responsibility for his executive staff and their actions while executing the work of the district. The articles in the Dallas Morning News are incredibly condemning to the ISD leadership and unfortunately the entire school district. I am disappointed and dismayed that we're in this place at this time. It is clear to me that the Office of Human Resources is the place where employees believe they can go when their rights have been violated in the workplace. It is the board's responsibility to make sure that all the allegations are thoroughly investigated and to understand why the internal auditor did not report its findings to the entire board. Even if the findings were preliminary, trustees should have known. The trustees should not find ourselves disturbing news for the media at any time.
Are we all going to get an opening statement?
Trustee Foreman.
Okay, Mr. President,
under our rules,
I would like to move that Trustee Lou Blackburn actually conduct the meetings regarding this situation because of your closeness with the superintendent.
That's right. Second.
Trustee Foreman and Trustee Nuttall, we are not posted for that particular action at this duty time, at this stated time.
You don't have to be posted for the action.
Okay.
I made a motion.
We'll take 1 second. Parliamentarian, would you please remind us of the rules?
According to our general practice, usually it's something that we're actually posted for on the notice.
So
I believe
the motion is not being heard, and it is now time for the board.
Point of order, Mr. President.
I'd like to question the President's ruling,
The President's ruling is that we are not posted for that action.
and I'd like to
And
take
it's-
a vote on the President's ruling.
Okay?
Before we do, could we have legal, we have Ben Barlow here, we have Sonia Hoskins, we have Jack Elrod here. If we are not posted for a vote, and we do vote, is that not a violation? Because we have not, excuse me, I don't believe you're an attorney.
Excuse me, ma'am. Mr. Elrod, please.
I just want to hear from you guys.
We're only posted for a closed session. There's an Attorney General opinion out there that says if you've traditionally posted your agenda notices where it separates open session from closed session, and if for some reason you take a departure from that, that you could be at risk of violating the Open Meetings Act.
And Mr. Elrod, don't we, could you tell me, do we normally post separate, one for vote, one just for like discussion?
Point of order, I would like to hear from the other
Yes, ma'am.
board's attorney.
Okay.
The other board's attorney as well.
In regards to what Attorney Barlow indicated, that is true, that there is an AG's opinion out there that you have to remain consistent with your custom and practice. And so it has been a practice of the ISD to indicate whether it's open discussion or whether it's a closed meeting. And so we have to be consistent with what has occurred in the past.
Point of order.
Okay. Oh, is it a point of order or a point of information?
It's a point of order that would lead to a substantive information discussion. Three trustees asked that the agenda be modified within due time to be able to have an open portion of this meeting. That was never responded to. In addition to that, I believe we're in violation of the Open Meetings Act because nothing was posted with respect to the topics of discussion that are otherwise going to be undertaken during closed session. So in both cases right now, we have two issues in conflict. One is that there was no open meeting posting with respect to tonight's meeting, which in and of itself, when asked for, should have been done. The second is that to the extent we are going to go into nothing but closed session and have no other opportunity as a body to do any kind of discussion or do any kind of business, then that body is required by law and responsibility to post the topics it will be discussing in closed session.
There's an opinion going on here, and it's not asking the
There
lawyers
is not a point
thing.
of order on the floor. We have opinions from our attorneys. We are posted for closed session. It's now time.
Point of information.
Please state your point of information.
We had a closed session regarding the situation with the superintendent and trustee Nuttall. If the
We are
board-
not
Would
posted.
you-
Trustee
Would
Foreman,
you please let me finish?
I'm ruling
Would you let me
on
finish?
your point of
Would
information.
you let me finish my statement? You can't rule if you don't let me speak.
Please,
That's part of the problem.
please.
We had a closed session regarding the superintendent and trustee Nuttall. We moved at that time for a closed session to have the first vice president to conduct those meetings. Did we not?
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
So were we out of order then?
I'd have to go back and look at the posting.
The posting was for closed session.
At the time, I didn't think you were.
Okay, so now we are.
I've just got the posting for tonight's meeting in front of me.
I'm asking a question. We've done this before, and there was no objection.
I don't remember what the posting looked like for that night. I can go take a look at it.
I do. We've done this.
So could we just adjourn, you could go back,
Yeah,
you could
that's
check
fine.
it, and then come back another day? I mean, if
I have a
everybody
point of
got these
information,
questions.
which attorney
One
helped with
second,
the,
please.
I have a point of information.
Yes, ma'am.
Which
point of
attorney
information.
helped with this posting of this agenda item?
I did not.
Did you help with the posting?
I did
So who is responsible for the posting of this agenda item?
I have posted the agenda item.
And so what is our normal practice in posting agenda items? Do we seek attorney outside to help us with the posting so we can get it correct?
No.
So the board president can post this agenda item without seeking and ignore the email that was sent requesting that this be an open session. Mr. President, is there a
Yes.
reason why you didn't respond to the emails from the three trustees?
one of the
Trustee
reasons-
Foreman, Trustee
Absolutely.
Jones, and myself.
One of the reasons why is because we've had trustees that have copied each other on emails and multiple
point-
trustees.
point of-
Hold on, Trustee Bean.
But I'm hearing that three trustees, and this really concerns me because we are borderline here on breaking the Opens Meeting Act. So do
Absolutely.
we have,
By board policy,
how many
three
different trustees have been talking to each
Just
other?
trustees can request a
Trustees.
How many more are
trustees.
involved in this?
We're gonna get to the bottom of how many involved in a whole lot of DISD.
Well, I can hear that, but now I'm hearing that
I had the
emails
floor
are
and I
being
asked you a direct
exchanged.
question.
Trustees.
Three trustees by board policy,
I will-
by board can request for something to be on the agenda. Am I correct?
Trustee Nuttall, I
And
will-
wait. Three, Nancy interrupted. Three trustees by board policy can request something to be on the agenda, correct?
That's correct.
That is our board operating procedures, right?
60
Three
days.
trustees can request something to be on the board agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Point of information.
But there are also...
Trustee-
Point of information, she is out of order.
Trustee Jones and Trustee Bingham.
Yeah, I will try.
Would you please control the chair?
Trustee Jones.
Thank you, sir.
Nays have been out.
Trustees.
Point of information, if you have a closed session, are you not required to absolutely state what are the topics that are there and post that specific or that specificity if that is the only purpose of tonight?
Well, the Open Meetings Act, when you post the particular one, which is the personnel exemption, it depends on certain factors on how specific you need to get in your posting.
So what is our discussion tonight? Because basically there has been no public posting of what we are talking about tonight. The public has no idea what this board is going to go there in closed session to deliberate.
Trustee Jones, we are going to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee.
And who would that
To
be?
hear a complaint or charge against an officer
I can
or
read,
employee.
I can read,
Trustee Jones.
President.
Your point of
Solis,
information.
I can read. I just want to know, who are the people, what are the topics that we will be discussing in closed session? The public has a right to know that.
Trustee Jones, we are posted for closed session.
I understand that, but the
We have the
posting
link.
is required under the Texas Open
Trustee
Meetings
Jones,
Act to
now-
actually list the specific topics that are going to be discussed in a closed session. Is that not correct?
You're
just-
supposed, go ahead.
You can state the general statutory language if it is, it has to be specific, is if it is going to be of high interest to the general public.
And I believe this is.
And so,
Trustee Jones, we are posted for closed session. It's now time for the board to retire to closed
Point of
session.
information, I had also asked a second question regarding why it was that the public portion of the meeting was not added to the agenda when it was so required by members of this body.
Trustee Jones, we've already stated trustees can request to have particular items added. The board president has up to 60 days to fulfill that request. This is not the first time that this board will be meeting to discuss particular matters.
You said that before.
And we are continuing to have this discussion. This is the beginning of a prudent process that we will take as a board to address multiple issues. We have our lawyers, we have our general counsel, we have our superintendent, and we have 9 trustees convened.
So unilateral, so if I understand this correctly,
Trustee Jones.
President Solis, excuse me, if I understand this correctly, you have unilaterally decided the agenda. You have unilaterally denied the
Trustee
public the
Jones.
right to know what it is this body is doing behind these doors. And that is an absolute violation of the Texas Open Meetings Act.
Trustee Jones, I appreciate your opinion. We are going to retire to closed session to begin a conversation. Trustee Blackburn.
I'm just going to go back to what Attorney Hoskins said about the closed session agenda being specific because of high public nature.
high public interest,
High
yes.
public interest. Is that in agreement with the other 2 attorneys?
I agree.
Yes, sir.
In light of all the cameras that are here, would you say that this is of high public interest?
In light of all the newspapers.
In light of what you think we're going to talk about, would you say this is of high public interest? In light of all the newspaper articles that have been written, would you say this is of high public interest?
Yes, it is, if it's based upon that. Yes, it is.
Based upon what?
What you just indicated. What was the allegations alleged in the newspaper will be of high public interest.
Okay, I appreciate you trying to go around what we're going to actually talk about, but go ahead.
I'm a little hesitant to give legal advice in public on this, but I'm happy to, we could retire to
Well,
closed session.
well, I guess I'm just asking, is the topic of high public interest?
Could certainly argue that.
Yeah, and Dr. Blackburn, I would agree.
Are we talking?
We are posted. Trustee Jones, I have the floor, and I'm
Yes, you
only
do. I'm
asking.
so sorry.
Thank you very much. We have our attorneys assembled, our general counsel, our superintendent. We have closed session posted to address issues. That's what we'll do as a board. We will retire to closed session and conduct our closed session in this room with everyone assembled. Pursuant to the Texas Government Code Section 551 concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act, including but not limited to the following section, which I've stated and I'll state again for the record. 551.074. To deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee. The time now,
Wait a minute.
Hold on. Would it be out of order for us to let the public know
not at all.
who or what we're going to be talking about?
You're absolutely correct, Dr.
I think we should-
Blackburn.
I think we
Stated
should
in the
let them
first
know.
place.
That was my original point of order, was to make sure we specifically state what it is we're going into that back room to discuss.
Absolutely. Thank you all for your opinions, for your suggestions. Dr. Blackburn, thank you for stating your suggestion in particular. We will retire to closed session to discuss recent employment changes in our Human Capital Management Department, and to also discuss any internal investigation or internal review related to those matters. We will discuss this with our board attorneys, with our general counsel. We will also ask Superintendent Miles to opine on the particular matter. as it relates to he and his administration. This is what we've been discussing, and I foresee multiple discussions continuing after this initial discussion. I believe it's prudent that we first look at the facts through the lens of the law and litigation. That's why our attorneys and our general counsel are here. The public deserves to know that this board as a whole is conducting a thorough, objective review of any situations or details concerned with those situations and any public matter that has been stated in the Dallas Morning News and other publications. The public deserves to know. The board will do the duty of the citizens, and we will continue this process. This is the beginning of a long process, I foresee. The time now is 6:31 p.m. and we are in closed session. The time now is 6:53 p.m. and we are back in open session. The board took no action in closed session. Attorney Barlow,
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we're clear. We want to make sure and ensure that we're being prudent on the posting of any languages that pertains to this matter. Can you spell that out for us a little more?
Yes, I think there were some objections raised before we went into closed session about the specificity of the notice of this agenda, and I believe to be safe, this subject matter is probably of high importance, and it's probably better to be safe and to actually post more specifically an agenda item so that the public will know what the board is going into closed session to talk about. And so it's certainly the board's prerogative if they want to adjourn and post for another meeting.
Absolutely.
With more specific notice.
We will work with our attorneys to ensure that the language is specific to the particular matter as addressed earlier in the meeting, and make sure that we do that in an expeditious fashion, as this is an issue that is of high public interest and of high interest to our board as a whole. This concludes the agenda for the called board meeting. The time now is 6:54 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.